I'm Lin-Manuel Miranda, and you're listening to Hard NOC Life.
Well, it's the NOC in full color, you see me? The Hard NOC Life, comics, movies, and TV, yeah. Pop culture with a different perspective.
Welcome to Hard NOC Life. I am Keith Chow.
I'm Britney Monet.
I'm Dominic Ma, having a nice canned coffee.
I am having a glass of iced coffee as well.
I finished
Brittany, you're a barista. You don't have to drink coffee when you're on the podcast.
I finished my coffee right before you guys hopped on, and I was like, wait, are we recording?
Let's go.
I love iced coffee, so anyone who wants to send me iced coffee, go for it. Because I hate hot coffee. And I say this as a barista. I'm strictly ice. Like, I can't have hot coffee. It's so gross.
Especially now, the world is always getting hotter and something's on fire. It's more often iced coffee weather than hot coffee weather.
Yes.
At least in this part of the country.
Very true. Well, the one thing that is true about what's going on in the world, other than the climate changing and temperatures rising, is, speaking of rising spirits, Shang-Chi is still the number one movie in the world. What do we think about that? Were we surprised?
Not surprised. Not surprised. I just saw it a third time yesterday, so because I finally got to see it with my best friend Julie. So she finally saw it for the first time, so she really loved it and was extremely impressed. So yeah, a lot of people were impressed, but there's some people who saw it for the first time and they were talking about how cheesy the scene between Wenwu and is it her name Li Ling? The mom, and they were talking about how cheesy it was, and I just wanted to punch them. Like, you don't understand. It's cinema. It's so good. But yeah,
yeah, definitely one of the best scenes in the whole movie.
Oh yeah.
If you don't like that, I don't know. I can't help you.
Mm-hmm.
Dead inside.
Yeah. Have you seen it a second time yet, Dominic?
Oh,
Do you
no.
plan to see it a second time?
That was my splurge just for personal safety assessment reasons. But I'm glad, Brittany, that you're going physically to the theater, the audience that people were talking about, getting butts in the seats. And I just want to keep saying we got to keep looking at what an important moment it is for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, it's like three different things at once, right? It's like, the first Asian American forward Marvel movie and all that entails. It's the first really new character top-lining Marvel movie that they've come out with since Endgame. I mean, the TV series have introduced lots of new characters, but this is like a top-lining origin story, and that was as scheduled in the Marvel plan. So that was an unknown quantity. This is the first new thing since Endgame. And then, on top of it, the first big pandemic Marvel release without a day-and-date option. So all those things together, this is like no small deal. This is like a turning point in the Marvel movies we love so much.
Talking about that turning point, because Shang-Chi did so well at the box office without the Disney Plus, side hustle, as it were, that helped Black Widow top the box office. Disney has now announced, it looks like Eternals is also getting the 45-day theatrical window, and so is Spider-Man, and every Disney movie released from here on out, unless, the Omega variant, unless Darkseid shows up with the Omega variant.
Right.
Which
from
is
DC.
a DC thing to do.
That's their only hope at this point. It's a terrible, terrible plot. I'm sorry, DC, but that...
But because of Shang-Chi's box office success, what you had been hoping for, Dominic, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. There is no more day and date with Disney. Speaking of DC, Warner HBO will still be doing the day and date throughout the end of the year, but Disney's going full theatrical, but a shortened theatrical window, right? 45 days. That's not that long to wait until it comes to streaming. But Brittany, are you going to venture out yet again to the movie theater to see Chloe Zhao's Eternals?
Oh, of course. And then upon watching Shang-Chi a third time, I was like, okay, I really think that the rings are now going to be something that has to do with the Eternals. And then that's who the call was for, and that call is probably what wakes them out of their, because I think there's a point in the comics where they're, technically asleep and they don't know who they are anymore and they forgot. So I think that's, what's going to happen. That's, wakes up one of them, and then the other has to go find all the other ones and, remind them and all that stuff. So I think that's kind of what the tie-in for it was, but it was a lot of fun watching it again for a third time, and I'm excited for everything else.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we talked about this in our speculation last week that, and it's so funny because, I've seen my share of YouTube conspiracy theories, you know, and conspiracy theories, I mean, about like, you know, what does it all mean? And doesn't seem that many people are going the Eternals route, weirdly. Like, to me, that was the most obvious. So I'm surprised that that's not top line on most people's speculation.
It's because people still don't know what the Eternals are.
Yeah.
Okay, let's be
True.
frank. Every Marvel movie is an experiment of sorts. Let's not get hung up on the word
Simu,
choice.
please don't.
Let's not get hung up on the word
tweet at
choice.
Dominic, Simu.
Every Marvel movie is kind of an experiment, and Eternals has a lot more work to do than the average Marvel movie. Much more than Shang-Chi, because it's about a guy, and they tell the origin story of a guy. Eternals is like the story of like 10 people, and there's a whole like cosmic legend that like informs
10
why
rings,
they
10
even exist.
Eternals.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it fits so well. That's a very good thought.
Ah.
That would do a lot towards like sort of, you know, grounding people once they get to this bizarre cosmic thing that's Eternals. And, you know, I hate to say we're like overusing the word world building so much. Eternals is, to my knowledge in the comic book, more world building than characters, really. It's Jack
the
Kirby's
world
world.
buildingest.
Yeah, it's Jack Kirby's world. And no one really loves the characters like super much, as much as they love like a Spider-Man or, you know, a Black Panther.
I mean, it's much more in the Guardians of the Galaxy realm, right? Like,
Right.
This is a team that no one's really in the mainstream has heard of, and it's going to require more work. But I think to your point, like, yes, every Marvel movie is an experiment, but thus far, 20,000 movies into the experiment, they've cracked the code, right? Like,
Yeah.
whatever Marvel puts out, if it has that Marvel Studios logo at the top, and that's the thing, right? Because as much as we talk about the Netflix stuff and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., that never had the Marvel Studios logo, right?
Yeah, and that's
Marvel
true.
Studios
That's
is
true.
the thing that's batting 1,000.
Yeah.
Because of that, anticipation for Eternals is kind of an unknown quantity, but because it has that Marvel Studios stamp of approval. The thing that I've always said about the MCU is that it's the longest running TV show, right? Eternals is the next episode. So if you're invested in the MCU, you're going to want to watch Eternals, whether you've heard of them or not. You know, I think Shang-Chi also proved that. That's why Shang-Chi is this kind of like lodestone for the MCU. Like, they were like, we're not sure if people will tune in for Shang-Chi because no one's heard of him. Half the people who are like supporting him in the Asian American never heard of the motherfucker. You know what I mean? But that's why they were able to like veer so far away from the comic source, right? Because no one gives a shit about Shang-Chi. So I think that's where we are going to be with Eternals. And on top of that, Marvel's like, here's 7 more dates.
Yeah.
We're not even going to tell you what movies are coming out. We just hear some dates. And there's a bunch more movies that we're just going to plant our flags. And everyone else is going to have to move. Let's talk about that a little bit. There was this announcement over the weekend that Marvel Studios, they've already had 3 movies that we still don't know what they are. They have dates for. So let's just go over the slate. So Eternals comes out in November. Spider-Man comes out in December. And then March of next year, you get Doctor Strange. May, you get Thor, Love and Thunder. July is Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever. And then November 22 is The Marvels, which is the Captain Marvel sequel. That's the slate from now
That's
to the end of
2022.
22.
If all goes perfectly fine.
Right. Again, if Darkseid doesn't show up. Now, 2023, the first Marvel movie is in February for Quantumania, which is the Ant-Man sequel. Then we get Guardians 3 in May. And then this is where it's all a mystery. There is a mysterious Marvel movie, untitled, unannounced Marvel movie, July 28th, 23. An untitled Marvel movie in October of 2023. And then an untitled Marvel movie in November of 2023. And that was announced in Comic-Con. I think Kevin Feige had laid out all the way through 23, but he didn't announce what those last 3 movies were. But in that announcement, he did say Blade's coming. He did say Fantastic Four is coming. And they recently announced Captain America 4 is coming. So those could be movies in those 3
Well,
dates.
actually,
Deadpool 3 as well.
Captain America is supposed to be a 2024 release from what
Okay.
they've been rumoring. So I think it's Deadpool is
Okay.
one of the 2023 ones. And then I think one of the other 2024 ones is going to be the sequel to Shang-Chi.
So to that point, just over the weekend, Marvel announced 2024, February 2024, May of 2024, July of 2024, and November. So it fits the pattern, right? February, May, July, November typically is when the Marvel movies come out. Of course, 2020 and 2021 kind of threw that all out of whack because of the pandemic. But As you said, I think Fantastic Four makes sense to come out in 2024 just for the numerology of it.
Yeah. Well,
you can't have Fantastic Four come out unless the year ends in a 4. Because just imagine the posters, right? You just have the Fantastic Four logo in the year. But so what do we speculate? Like, so we know a Blade movie is one of these 7.
Yeah, let's talk about the ones they probably are.
Yeah,
because I don't know. I think you're right there. Deadpool should be in the mix somewhere. So it probably there's Blade and Fantastic Four and Captain America 4 in there somewhere. I look like
somewhere in those 7.
Somewhere in some of those first batch. Yeah, I mean 2023, 2024, I don't know, and probably Deadpool. And like one interesting, I mean, like one newsworthy thing is this is kind of a flex for Marvel in 2023 because this is 5 movies in 1 year, and that's a lot. I'm guessing Blade is that one in October just because it's Halloween-y.
Yeah, exactly. I think the timing makes sense for Blade to come out in October.
Yeah, I would do Deadpool for July if I was doing this, and then like you said, Blade, and then I would probably end on maybe, I don't know, for November. As I could feel like it could be the sequel for Shang-Chi, but I feel like that's a little bit too soon.
It could be.
I
mean, give it a thought because I've thought about this quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm voting for not that many sequels. I mean, I have my like ideal version of how this would play out, which probably has nothing to do with what actually happens. But I'm not like so gung ho for like let's do sequels to the movies that just made a ton of movies that just made a ton of money.
I also want to point out that they have not announced an Avengers movie yet.
Yes, one of these is definitely some form of Avengers 5. Yeah, that's one of these is some kind of Avengers 5. But what form?
It's got to be. Which one? I don't know. But one of them. Because think about if Kang. Is it Kang? What?
King.
No, I know. I'm like
no. Kang is not.
Kang the Conqueror is not Korean.
Kang is
so I don't
nor Mandarin.
Is that Shang-Chi shit that got me all fucked up now?
Yes,
I'm like calling him Kong.
That's funny though. Kang is a made up word, so we say Kang. I don't know. It's probably pronounced many different millions of ways.
Sure.
But Kang is not a Chinese word.
I know.
It is a Korean name, but that's not related in this point. In this
Anyway, Kong
sorry.
the Conqueror
Don't get me started.
Is the villain in Quantum. We know that he's in Quantumania. We don't know if he shows up in any of these other movies. He might. For all we know, maybe he shows up in Multiverse of Madness. Maybe he shows up in the Marvels. Who knows? But we know for sure when Jonathan Majors was cast, he was cast in Quantumania. So that's your February 23 movie. And if he's the Thanos of Phase 4, which everyone is assuming, Guardians takes place in May of 23, maybe. And I think you're right. July of 23 is the Deadpool movie. I think it makes sense to put Blade in October as well. Maybe November. No, I think May is the Avengers.
That's what I was
May
just saying.
That's what you're. That's
May would be an Avengers type of movie, or the big.
What would the Avengers team be?
Because they
though?
it's gonna be all
the
kinds
team
of crazy
is
fools.
for what a lot of people are pulling for the team to be is Doctor Strange, Captain Marvel, and Shang-Chi, Scarlet Witch, and I think I've seen Spider-Man attached to that.
Sure.
Well, if Spider-Man doesn't end No Way Home in the Sonyverse, which is possible. Maybe the February 24 movie is Sam's Captain America movie leading into the Avengers.
Maybe. That would make a lot of sense.
That would make tons of sense. It's that President's Day weekend.
There you go.
Here we all like aligning the Marvel movies with the real world calendar, which is
and
fun.
It's also February Black History Month.
Black History Month. Black Captain America, Black History Month. That makes sense. Yeah, because there's no way that they're going to go 2 phases without an Avengers movie. So I think May 2024, Avengers 5, February Captain America 4. That November one is still tricky.
And also we can't say one of these is probably an X-Men movie of some kind.
Well, maybe.
They can't keep like teasing this string of, we're going to have X-Men at some point. No, we aren't. One of these 7 movies, not counting Deadpool unless it is Deadpool, unless it is Deadpool and the X-Men all show up, one of these has got to be an X-Men movie of some kind.
I was going to say, if you do Deadpool, you can't do Deadpool and not mention the X. I mean, Deadpool is an X-Man, right? So like
true
that maybe July. Here's a theory. July 28th is Deadpool 3. October we get Blade, and then the November 2023 movie is the X-Men. And then February is Captain America 4. And then May is Avengers versus X-Men.
Yes, I'm really rooting for Avengers versus X-Men. That's a bit of a stretch, but I think it'd be awesome.
But if they introduce the X-Men in November, like introduce them in the Deadpool movie, like in a meta way they introduce in the Deadpool movie, because the thing about entering Deadpool into the MCU is that because of his fourth wall breaking nature, the MCU, even though they're going into multiverse and stuff like that, being still fairly grounded, fairly straightforward, it's gonna, like, I don't know how they're going to introduce Deadpool.
There's another character who is going to have their own property coming out very soon that also was famously known for breaking the fourth wall, and that's She-Hulk.
Yes.
And she's getting her own show, so
that's good. That's funny.
It's definitely, I feel like if they're going to stay true to like how she's a fourth wall breaker, then it's going to already be established by the time we would see Deadpool. So it wouldn't,
a match made in heaven.
So it wouldn't be weird.
Oh, and to be fair, WandaVision set the precedent too. Like, yes. WandaVision was a fourth wall breaking show.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, either way, I think Deadpool is your introduction into the X-Men for the Marvel Universe, and then if we get a proper X-Men movie in November of 2023, it's not far-fetched that if May 24 is the Avengers movie, it's Avengers versus X-Men. And that leaves us July 24, November 24. Maybe July is the Fantastic Four. Which, again, if Kang is the one kind of manipulating all of this, that makes sense that, you know, we get a Fantastic Four movie at some point that Kang's involved in, since he is a Reed Richards descendant. And then that leaves us with November of 2024. Again, considering we all survive to that point.
Yeah.
Because we know November 2020, that's like, that movie comes out like election day, basically.
Holy gosh, didn't even think about that. Oh my god, we're gonna have to do that again. Oh shit.
Who knows where we are?
That is too soon.
We are in like Trump Part 2 by the time that movie comes out.
Don't even say those words.
Please don't say that.
That's one thing that's not going to happen. But yeah,
that guy's calling boxing matches now. Who knows what's happening in 4 years?
Yeah, right. Stuff like that fills me with fear, but stuff like this, Marvel like way in advance announcements, fills me with a good feeling, because honestly, you know, the end game, the end goals, I want to work on one of these movies someday. So the fact that they keep announcing them 3 years in advance keeps giving me a 3-year plan towards working towards something. And they keep recycling it because they keep announcing them 3 years in advance. So your 3-year plan is always in effect. That's one thing that's cool.
Manifest that shit Simu Liu style, right?
Yeah,
trying to. I've been trying. And you know, I've been working out more.
Yeah.
Sorry.
we can get into how much you gotta goddamn work out to be in those movies. But that's getting to be, I think, a bit almost too much of a trope for me. all those dudes look like the same Dorito, you know, frickin'. Anyway, I wanted to say, because there's a color, like, I'm rooting this again. This is just what I would like as a fan. This is not likely what's going to happen. I'd like if one of these movies was a film that centered the Latinx story in the way we've had Asian American people and Black American people centered in Marvel
Tiger.
stories. It's been a while. I'm rooting for White Tiger, but you know, Brittany, you mentioned it like a couple weeks ago. Like a really strong candidate is Robbie Ray's Ghost Rider. Right? That might be a stronger candidate because people like White Tiger not as high profile.
I love Gabriel Luna as Robbie Ray is, so I'm just hoping that they will do me justice and like bring him back.
So, and I was thinking like, there's, you know, as Spanish goes, ¿por qué no los dos? Like, we could have a Marvel team up with White Tiger and Ghost Rider. There's no real reason you can't do that.
They totally could.
That shit would be dope.
Yes.
I mean, yes, we're not discounting that Oscar Isaac is going to be playing
Moon Knight,
but let's still leave that
Moon
space
Knight's
open.
not going to explicitly be a Latinx character. We don't know, right?
Yeah,
because
not likely.
Oscar Isaac has been known to not play his race in a lot of his movies too. So, and it's not out of bounds necessarily to bring Gabriel Luna back, because even though Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is not technically in the MCU, and then, you know, there have been calls to bring Chloe Bennett into the movie side, to bring Ming-Na Wen into the movie side, and it's not far-fetched, right? Because the Darkhold was introduced in WandaVision, and the Darkhold was a big plot point in the Ghost Rider episodes of S.H.I.E.L.D. So if they wanted to do like how they brought Jarvis from Agent Carter into Endgame and just give us like a nod to the shows, it's possible. We could get, it's not out of the realm of possibility for Gabrielle Luna to come back in the movies.
The only reason I feel like we got Jarvis from the show is because the Russos really have, like, I feel like are Kevin Feige's favorites in a way right now.
Even though they're like, we're not doing any more Marvel
yeah,
movies, so.
They were, at least they were. So I think that's why, like, their show is more considered canon than, like, you know...
The Whedon's show,
Than the
basically.
Whedon show, yeah. Which is weird because, you know, that show actually had, like, Samuel Jackson on, like, for, like, 2, maybe 3 episodes, and then...
And Sith. And...
Yeah, there was a couple of other people, yeah. So it's just, like, kind of hard to say that show's not canon just because of how many people from the movies have showed up. Even if they had small roles, like, they popped up. So it's kind of like,
And that's how they marketed S.H.I.E.L.D., though, in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
It's all connected was the big marketing push. And they really were working hand in hand, at least for the first 2 phases, because episodes of S.H.I.E.L.D. led up to Captain America Winter Soldier, which totally affected the TV show going forward. And I think that's part of also the reason why they split. Not just that Kevin Feige, like, well, I don't really do anything with the shows. It was also like the TV people were probably thinking, like, we can't, like, base our show on whatever happens in the movies because, you know, that just handcuffs us creatively. So that's, I think Marissa Tencharoen said something to that effect that, like, you know, it was a conscious decision on the TV side to not tie into the movies as much because, you know,
I know they
it's
really
just hard
wanted
for us.
Hawkeye on the show, but they were just like, it's not going to work with the way they, like, plan out the movies and the way we plan out shows, so.
Yeah. Which is why the Disney Plus shows was such a big deal because these were going to be fully integrated.
Yes.
And that's the thing, too, that as we're speculating, you know, you mentioned She-Hulk, Brittany, but we don't know when the shows are necessarily coming out and how they're going to affect whatever the slate's going to be. Because, you know, WandaVision and the future Ms. Marvel show is definitely tying into the Marvels, right?
Speaking of WandaVision real quick, I think they just won 2 Emmys. I've seen people tweeting that. I'm not sure how true that is.
Oh, nice.
But apparently they won 2 Emmys so far.
Yeah, they had the creative awards early. I guess the main Emmys are next week, right? But they had a ceremony for some of the non-primetime awards just this weekend, and they did win awards for costuming as well because they did good costumes.
Yeah, I mean, as much as people shit on WandaVision, it's still my favorite of the Disney Plus shows so far, just because those first like few where they were just totally committed to the sitcom. I just thought they were great. Just they as homage to old school TV, but also like, and you know, I think if you watch the making of, like, just the amount of effort they put into like recreating the look and feel of those 50s shows, I just think it was amazing.
Yeah, I like that they even, like, for the audiences who were watching it, they had to come dressed up in clothes of that era.
Right,
like, that's really cool.
It was a good show. I actually, you know, like I said, up until the last episode where it just kind of went, you know, a little too Marvel movie climaxy at the end. I just think that it was so well done. Speaking of Disney Plus shows that are well done, we are in the aftermath of yet another What If episode. What did we think of their take on Marvel Zombies?
Brutal. Just because, I mean, if, like, you know, zombies who, you know, were once people with powers or enhanced being can keep their set of powers and be able to still, like, you know, that's very, like, Scarlet Witch is a zombie. That would be very scary.
Yeah, like, I was a little kind of, like, put off by, like, smart zombies. I don't know how much I like the idea that, like, because it's one thing, if they have, like, the equipment or they still have the powers, like, you know, spoilers for What If, by the way, but, like, when Wasp dies as Giant Wasp, you know, like, that's frightening. Like, you have a giant zombie stomping around, right? Because she's already a giant. But, like, Wong zombie being able to still, like, create spells, I don't know, there's just too much brain work for a zombie to, like, remember the incantation. You know what I'm
but it's still like
it
is still a little creepy though, because now you're like, I can't really, like, outrun the zombies. And then I don't know, this last episode ended very, like, not very hopeful for me.
Well, that's 2 in a row, right?
Yeah.
The Doctor Strange one, and this one was just, and that's kind of the beauty of the multiversal aspect, right? Like, these don't have to end happy, because who gives a shit about these alternate universes, right? So
yeah, but they're gonna play important part later.
Yeah.
That's part of the design of What If as
a concept.
A concept, the role it plays in the Marvel Universe, right? I mean, it's not merely to introduce 100 different alternatives. Conceptually, from what I remember of the comics, it's to pose important questions and see that the story leads to something really that you wouldn't want it to lead to. Or, alternatively, something that is so amazingly happy, then the story of the universe just ends, because it's such a happy... You know, it's to play with those ideas, like, well, these choices are important, because if this other thing happened, not something equally, significant would happen. Something much more terrible would have happened. Mm-hmm. And that's why the heroes make these choices. And occasionally there are the what-if stories where it's like, oh, wait, this ends up actually so happily the whole world is saved and we don't need superheroes anymore anyway. And that's the other way that happens. Yeah. So they lead themselves to those kind of, moral thought experiments.
I was hoping that, like, Okoye would kick more ass in the zombie apocalypse just because she's fucking Michonne.
Yeah.
And, like, it was just a little weird that, like, Okoye falls to her death and is like, it was like, come on, she's Michonne. She should have had, like, a katana alongside her spear just because... But maybe they didn't want to make... That homage was a little too on the nose. But, Denai Guerrero came back to play her. So I was just like... Yeah, I was just hoping for a Michonne Easter egg, and I didn't get it, and I was a little disappointed, is all I'm saying.
Yeah. But I did like parts of it. I still think right now my favorite episode is the Doctor Strange one, even though that one is equally as sad. I just feel like I really loved that whole, like, I don't know, that episode was just done so well. This one just felt not as great, but it wasn't terrible. Yeah. But and then, like, I don't know, Peter was kind of sad because then he's like, this person died, and then he's like, and after Aunt May, and I was like, Aunt May died too, and I don't know, it was just very...
Well, we did get our first mention of Uncle Ben in the MCU in this episode. That was, I found very interesting.
Uncle Ben was referenced before, they just didn't say Uncle Ben.
Well, I'm just saying, but we actually hear the words Uncle Ben in the MCU coming out of not Tom Holland's mouth, so I just thought that was really cool. Mm-hmm. We know for a fact that Uncle Ben lived in the MCU at one point, so I just thought that was really neat. I also liked, going back to the smart zombies, the one thing that I was like, again, zombies aren't supposed to be able to strategize. Mm-hmm. And the way that the sorcerer zombies and Iron Man zombie were, like, able to, like, create portals and stuff, I just thought it was a little much. I was like, if zombies can retain, the ability to strategize, it kind of defeats the purpose of zombies. But let's talk about Wanda and Vision in this one. Because, like, I liked how it was kind of like the reverse of WandaVision, where, like, Vision is the guy who's, I don't care, if it destroys the rest of the world, I'm going to do whatever it takes to keep my significant other alive. The toxic relationship, I'm thinking, Wanda and Vision.
I think so. That, at least...
Maybe not for each other, but for the rest of the world.
For the rest of the world, yeah. Yeah. But, I don't know, I love that Paul Bettany was also, like, back. And just, I don't know, it's so horrible. He's leading all these people to their deaths for Wanda and just, I don't know, but...
And he was like feeding T'Challa to her. That's what they were implying, right?
Yes,
like giving him pieces of T'Challa to eat.
Yes. Ooh. Yeah, and
that's so crazy.
That's horrible. And then, Chadwick still was voicing T'Challa in this, so I kind of feel like there's maybe a couple more episodes we'll, like, have of him.
Yeah. But that was a sneaky appearance. I didn't realize. I thought he would only come back in the whatever follow-up to Star-Lord. I didn't realize he was going to be actually playing T'Challa, which was Black Panther, which was cool.
Yeah, but...
Man, humans, so my fellow humans, I was bouncing around in the Marvel hub of the Disney Plus app the other night on a Saturday night, because that's how awesome my life is. That's just what I do on a Saturday night. And by the way, just small technical note, do we agree that the search function in Disney Plus works so much better than the search function in HBO Max that you
Disney
actually
Plus is
can...
still the gold standard. And just streaming apps.
Right, and just the functionality of it.
Absolutely.
You can actually bounce around and look at all your favorite parts in any order you want. As opposed to HBO Max, I don't know if you all have this problem. You just can't, like, it stops and starts. You cannot really search around for the part you're looking for. It just, the functionality is not the same. And that's another thing where Marvel's working a lot better than DC. Anyway...
Oh, don't get me started on the HBO Max app, Dominic. You know better than that.
Well, I mean, just on the level of how it works as an app. Right.
Yeah, if they just changed their name, it would have improved so much.
I'm sure.
But no, but beyond that, right? Like, I'm being less facetious. Like, the way that Disney organizes their hubs even, I think is far superior to the way HBO manages their hubs. Because like I said, they'll put everything in one hub, but then, the other difference between HBO and Disney Plus is Disney Plus, to my knowledge, doesn't get rid of shit. Like everything that was on Disney Plus when it launched is still on Disney Plus, whereas HBO Max still continues to cycle through content. So, for example, it launched with the Harry Potter movies, and then after like a couple months, they were gone.
Yeah,
because they're somewhere else now, right?
Well, they're back now, but they were gone because like they were on Peacock, and that's because of pre-existing like deals, right? Like Netflix gets the Batman movies for a certain number of months, and then when that expires, then it comes back to HBO. And it's just kind of, to me, it's just like it's kind of fucked up. I like the point of having something like HBO Max, like you and I talked about this, Brittany, when we were doing DC Classics, is that it's just great to have a spot where you have everything in one place. And it's like, these don't stay there. Like, if I'm watching all the Batman movies and I want to cycle through all of them, I have to kind of like time it right, because if I don't watch it by next week, it's going to go away for like 6 months or whatever. Yeah. It's just kind of dumb. It's like, it's your IP, Warner. Why are you like getting rid of it? But whatever.
There's going to be some funny fight over where the Spider-Man's movies are viewable.
Well, especially because of the Netflix deal. Yeah. So you were saying that, I didn't mean to go on a HBO rabbit hole, but you were saying you were bouncing through the hub.
I was just opening up the rabbit hole for sort of open discussion, because I got to reflect on a bunch of things. Like, one thing, how Wanda's kind of an asshole. I'm sorry. It's just like, I mean, I don't know if this is relevant to anything, but rewatching Civil War, you see, like, there's basically she's like a white lady who doesn't know what she's doing, and she kills these like 12 Wakandan citizens who just happen to be in the building. We don't even see them. We spend most of the movie really just worrying about her state of mind. And that is carried out writ large in the WandaVision series. And, the whole problematic white lady superhero thing is dealt with much more fully in Jessica Jones season 3. I'm just going to say that. I mean, and other things, like I watched most of First Avenger again, and I really haven't, I don't think I've watched that movie more than 1.5 times. Most of them I've seen like at least 5 times. And, it's nice to remember, right now people are rightly getting upset about the oversaturation of Marvel movies because they're not like us. They don't follow this stuff closely and love every part of it. There's a time when those first couple movies, with Captain America vs. Avenger, which I didn't appreciate so much at the time, they were really just telling a story of a guy in a very straightforward movie sort of way that every moviegoer could latch onto. Then I cut to Civil War. I watched Civil War. To me, that was another turning point, because I went to see that with friends of mine who were like movies but are not big Marvel movie people. I loved it. They were basically lost. That was one of those where it started to be like you couldn't quite keep up with this shit unless you were a Marvel person. It was like a serialized thing. Towards that point, they did, in Civil War, the notable thing was they shorthanded the Spider-Man intro, which was, to me, still one of the best and most effective parts of the ongoing Marvel Cinematic Universe thing they're doing. But of course, again, that was an experiment, and that was weird because technically we don't know Uncle Ben's story in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They just shorthanded it and did it beautifully. But that was the moment when it started to be like, for fans who are following this shit. I don't know. Do you guys think about that?
You can get away with that with Spider-Man. Right, because it's like the old adage of like, do we need to see Bruce Wayne's parents get murdered again?
Spider-Man and Bruce Wayne are the two like characters that even Superman, his story, their stories, where it goes. You don't need to rehash every origin again. Like, we already know it. We've seen it so many times, and it's like, because all of them have had cartoons as well, cartoon movies. So like everyone knows their story. Yeah, it's like everyone knows those 3 characters' origins pretty well. So like, where it's not a big
Which is
deal.
Unfortunate why every time Batman shows up that we have to have the montage of the murder again, right?
Yeah.
And as effectively as it's been done in all of the movies it's been done in, because it has been done effectively, right? Like that's, the Batman Begins scene is probably the best version of the Wayne murder, but at the same time, it's like, then you get it in Batman v Superman, then you get it, I'm sure you're going to get it in The Batman, right?
And
like,
you get it in
you
like
got it
the
in
show.
fucking Joker.
Yeah.
Like, Joker has nothing to do with Batman, and we got a Wayne murder in Joker, right?
Yeah.
Like, so, I think some things are so ingrained, even though it's like comic book stuff, it's ingrained enough in the pop culture psyche that we don't need to see it. And I think that's the benefit of like those characters. But someone like a Shang-Chi or someone like the Guardians of the Galaxy, you have to know like where they come from.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of knowing where things come from and going down rabbit holes, we're going to get off the Marvel multiverse for now and enter a movie that is going to be debuting on the inferior HBO Max hub in December. The same day Spider-Man comes out, by the way. December 22nd is The Matrix Resurrections.
I thought Spider-Man was December 15th.
Okay.
I think they spaced it out a week.
Okay,
they might have fought over the date for a while,
They
but
probably
I
did.
think they arrived at. They're not going to do that. That'd be crazy.
Yeah, what I was going to say. When I saw the date, for some reason I thought that was Spider-Man. Either way, The Matrix Resurrections. It's really happening. They're really doing Matrix 4. And that trailer, I gotta say, holy shit.
Dope.
I wasn't quite sold on the idea of going back to the Matrix up until the minute that trailer came out. The second I saw that trailer, I was completely and fully bought in. I loved that first Matrix movie so much. And it's interesting in 2021 to be getting a Matrix movie because of how, talking about being ingrained into the pop culture psyche, Matrix has not only ingrained itself into our zeitgeist, it's kind of become the language of like how we talk about everything. Mm-hmm. Like if you think about it, right? Like, I mean, and then the context has been completely mutated since 1999. Like red pilling now has become, just like a catchphrase on the right. But even though they didn't originate the idea, but like being woke, right, is kind of like the whole point of the Matrix, right? Like you wake up to this reality and then you get to finally see, and once you see the real world, you can't go back to like unseeing it unless you're a white guy like Cypher. So just what do you guys think one of the trailer and just like being back in the Matrix in 2021 after like 2 decades of it kind of defining not just pop culture but our culture writ large?
I'm excited. I really do like that they're going with the approach that both Trinity and Neo don't remember their time in the Matrix, and I don't know. I love that whole type of trope, and I'm tired of people complaining that Keanu Reeves in this movie looks like John Wick. But like, I don't know. He's obviously not going to get rid of his beard now, so like it's part of his look. He's not doing that.
John Wick also comes to the Matrix. Let's be real.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
It's just Keanu with a bunch of guns. Where did we get that idea? Keanu with way too many guns. Where did we get that idea? But also Jessica Henwick looks great. Looks real cool.
Yeah.
Has a cool hairstyle. I mean,
everyone looks really cool in it, so it looks fun.
What a year Yahya Abdul-Mateen is having.
Right?
I mean, I know Watchmen was now a couple years ago, but like just think about Aquaman to Watchmen to Sweet Man. I won't say it, Brittany.
I haven't seen it yet.
Now to, I mean, I think he confirmed he's playing Morpheus.
that guy's great.
He's definitely playing Morpheus. Like, it looks like it from the trailer.
Yeah.
Or he's a stand-in or something.
Young Morpheus or whatever, right.
Yeah, I don't know, but it looks really exciting.
Yeah, the cast is good. Dominic, I know that you had been anticipating this because they were shooting it in San Francisco a couple years ago, weren't they?
Oh, yeah. I'm not sure what stage they got to before COVID set in. I mean, I don't know where they were at or how they had to finish it, but they were definitely shooting near real buildings. And
were you a Matrix guy? I mean, how indelible was it to you?
Oh, it's a big deal. Everything you just said, I concur with that. My first one was a big deal. 2 and 3, whatever. Although, I mean, now there's a resurgence of discourse like 2 and 3 were really great. You guys just didn't realize
they
at the
were
time.
always good. What are you talking about?
Well, there you go.
Okay, but I was like probably younger too than you guys, so like I was probably just like, wow, this is fucking cool, Yeah, because I was like 9, I think, when the first one came out. So yeah.
So I mean, yeah, that's just my opinion. I'm happy to talk about 2 and 3 all day long. That was like one of the
first movies I saw. I remember seeing in theaters, or R-rated movies at least. But the very first one was Starship Troopers. That was dank.
Oh,
well, speaking of Starship Troopers. NPH being like, what do we think of NPH and Jonathan Groff bookending the trailer? Like, I said this on Twitter. It kind of makes me hope that it's secretly a musical.
Yeah, it does look like a musical.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's bookend. NPH kicks off the trailer. Jonathan Groff ends it. Like, it's got to be a musical. And if it's not a musical, what are you doing, Warner Brothers? Someone needs to write the Jonathan Groff.
I'm not the
and
biggest Neil
NPH
Patrick
duet
Harris
that they're
person,
gonna
so I can take that or leave it.
I feel like I'd be the only one who'd really love that.
I would love it too. I want it to happen. Going back to like its cultural footprint, though, right, Dominic?
Yeah, major. It's major.
But like, even in in the political realm, like MAGA heads kind of like co-opting red pilling, which, and my brother made this point the other day after the trailer came out. Like, it's so weird that the alt-right is kind of a co-opted Matrix language when you really think, going back to those sequels, like Cornel West is on the council, and yet like MAGA heads think that red pilling means, seeing the ways of the alt-right. Like, it's cognitive dissonance.
I mean, I don't know how far we want to go down this rabbit hole, but it's not really weird. It's something about how politics and partisanship work in our country. The extreme right just takes stuff that the left says and uses it so it stops being identified with the left or progressive stuff, whether it's fake news or affirmative action or whatever. They just grab all those terms. So it's really in line with everything that's happening in our stupid politics. But yeah, it's notable that they're being very forefront with this red pill, blue pill thing, which is the part of it that is most, let's say, blown up in our political discourse. The MAGA heads, QAnon people are really into that red pill, blue pill matrix metaphor. And Lana Wachowski, of course, is like, fuck you guys. Fuck you guys. Fuck you guys. And I'll add to that. Fuck you guys. That's not what the Matrix was about. You're wrong. But we could see how you see it that way because the red pill, blue pill choice is a very powerful symbol in the movie.
Yeah. Fuck you guys. Fuck you guys.
Well, I mean, I didn't mean to be like absurd about it, but, from the director's own mouth. And yeah, a good example of how something with kind of progressive revolutionary politics sort of idea veering towards extremist left politics goes all the way around and becomes grabbed by extremist right politics. Weird, right? But it's good we're getting another movie because we can settle this.
Yeah, very happy about the Matrix Resurrections.
I'm ranting because I had coffee. There's one other thought I had about that. While I was like Marvel skipping the other day was, how like we have these like extremist Marvel fans who complain about everything and like generally are against the women and the non-white people and just very, very conservative things. It occurred to me while surfing Twitter the other day that some of these people are just people who watch the movies. There are Marvel fans who are just people watching movies. We get
or
that,
are you
right?
talking about the thread of people complaining about She-Hulk and how that's like feminists ruining Hulk when She-Hulk has been a character for at least 4 decades?
Yeah. Shit like that. I mean, I maintain that some of it is just Russian trolls. But you see, it comes from my personal belief, maybe it was naive. I always like to think that people actually read comic books, tend to be open-minded people.
No.
Well, but it's the conservative Star Trek fans.
That may not be true. I just wanted to pose that.
You've seen the people complaining about Star Trek being too SJW, right? Like, Star Trek. Star Trek has been SJW since the 60s. And yet you have the fans when like Michael Burnham and fucking Captain Sisko was 30 years ago doing episodes like Far Beyond the Stars where he's like explicitly talking about racism and just like science fiction in general. And you're going to complain Discovery is too woke? Come on.
Yeah, I mean, Star Trek, you've especially lost the point. But do you think so? You don't think there's a correlation? Like, some of these people are also just pure comic book fans. It's
the Paul Ryan listens to Rage Against the Machine cognitive dissonance, right? Like, Rage Against the Machine when they fuck you, I won't do. Speaking of the Matrix, right? Like. And he is the most corporatist, he's the most corporatist, capitalist, conservative guy out there, and they're listening to Rage Against the Machine because it's got like loud guitars, and not because they're saying killing in the name of, right? Like that's the it's the same thing with like they like the explodey. They're not really capturing the message of the stories,
I think also because there's been more discourse, especially coming from people of color and other marginalized communities about, like, quote-unquote wokeness and social justice stuff that, like, they never realized maybe that it has always been ingrained in the material that they have looked at before, especially with comic books and Star Trek. Like, it's been part of, like, Star Trek and comic books, like, blood from day one, like, to be, quote-unquote, social justice and woke. It's always been like that. But I don't think they realized it until now that there has been more discourse coming from people of color and other marginalized communities, that now that they're seeing it, they're like, oh, why is everything so woke? When it's just like, oh, it's been there. Like, Captain America wasn't punching Nazis because it's fun. Like, well, maybe, yeah, it is fun, but you know what I mean? Like it wasn't there just for funsies. Like, it was there because that was going on in the world, and punching Nazis is something that we should be doing.
And the fact that they think the term social justice warrior is a pejorative. I've said this at, like, cons for the last 8 years, but, like, that's, like, the dopest name for a superhero team.
New Warriors.
The social justice warriors.
And that's what they do.
I mean? Right, exactly. The fact that they would, think that that's an insult. Like, superheroes love to fight for to war for justice so much they created leagues about it. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the whole, it's called the Justice League, right? Like, Superman, they're all, yeah. So I think the real point is, like, don't listen to the trolls, because the trolls are just trolls. Mm-hmm. Like, they're not.
But some of them are comic book fans.
Yes.
So it's not the comic book movie divide. Yeah, some of them are comic book creators, that's true.
Yeah, just, they don't,
I was trying to,
they think that there was never a quote-unquote wokeness when they were doing stuff, or when stuff first started, when that's not true. Like I said, it's just always been there. I just think now that since they are seeing and hearing people of color and other marginalized people adding their voices, finally, it feels like it's something new. And that's why I think it feels that way to certain people, when it's always been there. Like, I don't know. I'm pretty sure people were mad when they saw the first issue of Captain America where he's punching, Hitler in the face. Or, Superman is literally about an immigrant with powers who can save everybody. Like,
created by the Jews.
Don't listen to conservatives. Anyway, that's the show. Let's go to Nerd Poppin'. Anything Nerd Poppin', Brittany?
No, I'm sorry. This week I failed.
Nothing is interesting at all.
I saw Shang-Chi again. That was fun.
Oh, there you go. That's Nerd Poppin' for you, right?
You really deserve a special, button for that. I mean, not everyone has seen Shang-Chi once.
That is true. My parents have not seen it yet. They're waiting for it to be on Disney Plus, so.
But that's neat, because we'll get to do, like, sort of an opening day part 2. A whole bunch of people, that's going to be their first, like, latching onto it.
Do you think when it comes to Disney Plus, it'll be premiere? Or do you think it'll just be free on
Is it terrible that if I was, like, thinking, like, if I was Disney, I would do the premiere?
What would stop them, right? Like, since Shang-Chi is an experiment.
I know it's a very capitalist thing for me to say, but, like, I wouldn't be surprised if Disney did that.
And they do have a history of making all their Asian movies, $30 on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Right? Like Mulan, Raya, Black Widow, all of those.
I paid for all 3 of those.
But wait, okay. But yeah, I mean, to tag on to that, this success is a mixed bag, right? Obviously for the Marvel Studios team, all this money, it's a great win for them. Shang-Chi is a great win for them across all levels. As much as we were talking about it in a positive way, I'm gonna, asterisk it again. They're gonna think that this sort of proves through the idea, oh yeah, we can demand that people be in the theaters. And that's still not cool. Still not cool.
No, I mean, even though I do like going to the movies, and I've, gone, like 5-6 times, I still think that, yes, no, there needs to be a simultaneous release, just because, like, there are people who really cannot even consider risking it. And, and even before, like, I worked at AMC for, like, a month or whatever, and, like, those handheld devices for, like, closed captioning, I've talked about it before, they look like recording, like, camcorders, so people think, like, people are recording a movie, like, and then I've seen, like, tons of deaf or hard of hearing people tweet about how, like, those things don't always work, and they're not synced up to the right movie. Like, I remember someone tried to see Black Panther because they wanted to support it, they were a deaf person, and the closed captioning device was for, like, a whole other movie. It wasn't for Black Panther. Like, whoa. Yeah, so I'm just saying, like, movie theaters aren't as inclusive as some people like to think, and the people who like to harp on, like, no one likes to go to the movies, or people like spending money on other type of movies. I'm like, because those movies aren't as accessible as even Marvel, like, is, and it has its limits to how accessible they are to everyone, because people forget about, disabled people and what it is like for them to go to the movies and things like that. Like, that's why that at-home experience is more inclusive, because, people who need closed captioning devices have it. People who, maybe need a little bit more care, or people who can't do certain, they have, like, what do you call it? Sensory, they have sensory screening sometimes. And they usually only offer them for kid movies, for kids with autism, but they don't think about adults who have autism, who need to be in a certain type of environment to watch movies. Like, these are things that, you know, they're not thinking about. And so, again, going to the movies is not necessarily better for movies itself. It's not as inclusive as people want to say it is.
Speaking of AMC, did you see that they're putting together this
I saw it.
campaign to get people to go into the movies?
Yes,
and it's
they
like Nicole
played it.
Kidman. It's like they're
They
spending all
played it
these
before
millions
the movie yesterday.
Yeah, and it's like, but it's Nicole Kidman in
Yes!
a theater by herself. So it's like, even Nicole Kidman is like, I don't want to be in a crowded theater, so I'll do this commercial if you.
But it's playing right before the movie, so it's like, I'm already here. Why are you like?
Right. I already ate this
like
cupcake.
I know, it's so funny. I was like, I'm already here, and I don't know.
But no, I'm glad you brought up because as the experiment continues, yes, it would beg the question. Yeah, will they try to get another revenue stream going by making it both early release window and pay for a premiere at home?
Mm-hmm.
As you say, they probably would. But that's still fine. That's still whatever. I mean, just if they can make the premiere at home, pay for view at home accessible, go ahead. That's part of this evolving thing.
Yeah, because the other thing too is like they don't explicitly say after 45 days it's going to Disney Plus. It could be after 45 days it's on demand.
Yeah.
After 45 days you can buy it digitally. Right? And so who knows, right? The only movie that in the announcement they explicitly stated was going to Disney Plus after the window, I think it's some animated movie.
Enchanto?
And maybe it was Encanto, right? The Lin-Manuel Miranda one. I think they said that one is explicitly going to Disney Plus after 45 days. But the other ones just say going to digital after 45 days. So we still don't, so it could be anything. It could just be like Snake Eyes. Snake Eyes was available to purchase digitally like 3 weeks after the movie was in theater. So that could be a thing. And not on Paramount Plus. So anyway, Dominic Ma, what is Nerd Poppin'?
Oh, well, Sony PlayStation announced a bunch of games this past week. Jamal covered them a bit on the Nerds of Color blog. There are 3 big Marvel announcements at least, unless I'm forgetting one. They announced a Wolverine game by Insomniac, which also does the Spider-Man game. So we thought, oh, wow, that's what Insomniac's been doing. But then they also announced the Spider-Man 2 game.
Which combines Spider-Man and Miles, essentially, right?
Spider-Man and... They're both Spider-Man, but...
But the Miles Morales expansion... There was a Miles Morales expansion to the Spider-Man PlayStation game. But now they're both in this game.
Yeah, both Miles Morales and Peter Parker as Spider-Man in costume are in this trailer. So that's pretty, upfront. And it appears that the villain is... Kraven the Hunter gets symbioted by Venom. So it's a Kravenom mashup, which has existed in the comics. That is precedent. And I think it's a great idea for a villain. But not coming out till 2023. So they gotta have a reason to stay alive till 2023. And, they also gave further preview of the Guardians of the Galaxy game, which is coming out very soon, within a couple months. And that we feel like iffy about because it's from the same DNA as making the Avengers game, which people feel iffy about. But but pretty excited about Wolverine and Spider-Man 2. However far off it may be.
Wait, aren't they also doing Knights of the Old Republic?
Yes, that was also one of the things announced. They're remaking Knights of the Old Republic for PS5. Now, we just need to find a PS5, which is difficult. If anyone has a line on buying a PS5, I really am happy to spend the money. I'm happy to spend... Well, that's not true. If I was really happy to spend the money, I would buy one of these bootlegs that are... I would buy one of these, like, twice retail price things that resellers sell. I kind of want to buy one just for standard retail price, which is like $400. But anyway, I just need a PS5. Anyway, Keith, what's Nerd Popping?
Well, let's just end it on Shang-Chi since we started. This week, I had the pleasure of moderating a conversation on Clubhouse with the stunt team behind Shang-Chi. So the action designer, Young Lee, who a lot of people know from his YouTube Gak Attack back in the day. Another action designer, Joseph Lee, and Death Dealer himself, Andy Lee, all joined the Clubhouse room sponsored by CAPE, the Coalition of Asian Pacifics in Entertainment, and the Nerds of Color. We had an awesome conversation just talking about like how they got started, going from YouTube to a Marvel movie, that journey and how crazy that is. The other cool thing about that conversation is that Young Lee, one of the action designers, married Meng-Er Zhang, who plays Xiaoling in the movie.
Aww.
And since they're married, she was there the whole time. And then she cameoed on our Clubhouse conversation. Meng-Er actually joined the conversation because one of the panelists, one of the hosts, Tiffany from Clubhouse, asked Young like how they met and everything, and then Munger just joined the conversation. So if you're not familiar with Clubhouse, it's an app that's on your phone, and it's like a social media site, but it's all audio. So like it's not video. It's like it's like live podcasts essentially. Like you have actual rooms and people, you can dip in and out of the rooms and like listen to conversations. I've had Clubhouse on my phone for like months and I never used that motherfucker. So this is the first time I ever used it. It was kind of cool. I don't know if, if they would like to invite me back to moderate another conversation with people, I might do it. But that was really cool. I had fun talking to Andy Young and Joseph about the stunts and the action, working with Simu.
Should have them on here.
And I'm trying to get Young and Munger to come on the podcast. So
great job. And just
crossed.
to be clear, when you say she cameoed, you don't mean they used the other app Cameo to purchase an appearance by Munger's song.
We paid her $400
just
to
so
say
good.
Yeah.
She was just using Clubhouse in the normal way.
She was lurking in the background. She was lurking in the background of Young's, avatar, I guess, and then she joined in and I had a chance to talk to her about playing Xiaoling and having an action figure. I didn't realize until recent. I mean, I think I knew just like subconsciously, but Shang-Chi is her first.
I thought
movie.
I said that last week.
It's her.
You did.
Oh, maybe you said it's her only credit. That's
she didn't know she was
crazy.
auditioning for a Marvel movie, which is cool.
And she's like one of the breakouts.
Did she do theater before, or do we know?
I don't know.
No, I mean,
about her background
do anything before?
like that. I just know that's the first.
This is her only screen credit. I don't think she did anything in China either. I think this was just like, let me try out for this movie, and now I have an action figure.
Good stuff.
Anyway, Brittany, how can people find you on the internet?
You can find me at Hi Brittany Monet, and then you can also check out at Naomi Podcast, where you can get the technically 3 streams of backlog of Black Lightning, the actual Naomi Podcast when that happens, and the Lituation Room.
Awesome. Dominic.
I'm Dama, DOMMAH, on Instagram or Twitter, and you can also check out my YouTube channel at melancholyball.com.
You can follow me on Twitter at @TheRealChow, _real_Chow, on Instagram at RealKeithChow, and follow the Nerds of Color at the Nerds of Color on every social media platform. Go to hardknockmedia.com to find this and all of the podcasts in the Hard Knock family. Please subscribe and give us a like and a review if you do on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, anywhere you get podcasts. Support us on GoFundMe and patreon.com/the Nerds of Color. Smash that subscribe button on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/the Nerds of Color. And until next time.
Oh, I want to say, nothing rhymes with bang in Mandarin. Nothing rhymes with bang. I should have said that in the video. It wasn't very clear. That sound doesn't exist. It exists in other languages. It doesn't exist in Chinese.
And for real, the last thing you want is 2 guys who don't even speak Chinese teaching you how to say the different tones in Chinese.
There are a million white guys who speak way better Chinese than me. However, for that, there are 10 million white guys who want to explain to me how Chinese is spoken. So
there you go.
You got to figure that into the equation.
Watch it on your screen, hit play, so check this. This is the Hard Knock Life, but not the chicken kind, more like the people